Welcome back to Soda City Live. During the pandemic, a lot of us were cooped up, going out less and staying in more. And for many of us, that meant some changes in our patterns, especially when it came to our eating habits. This is Rhonda Carmen. I want to introduce you to her in just a second, but we're really talking about that shift in habits from eating out to eating in.
That's right.
So Rhonda, you are the author of this cookbook here, The Art of sorry, I'm going to mess it up. The Art of Pantry Cooking.
Yep, that's
I didn't want to say it because in my head I've been saying pantry staples all day, but it's so brilliant.
Thank you.
It's so brilliant.
Thank you.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about this cookbook and how it is different from others?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was born out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I needed to cook from my pantry like everyone else. But what I'm realizing, it's not just during the pandemic you have to cook from your pantry. You have to do it all the time. And I'm as guilty as anyone. You look in the pantry, you say, I don't have anything to cook. And you really do.
Yeah.
So this was, I'm looking in my pantry, I've got chickpeas, I've got bulgur, I've got black-eyed peas, whatever it might be. And we try to find interesting ways, but easy ways to use them. It's not just beans and rice or pasta and tomato sauce, which is fine, but we just want to do a little something special.
I just think it's so smart because a lot of times people go home and they open their cupboards and they think, I have no food. Because it's not something you can just quickly grab.
That's right.
Or you don't want to think, how can I put this together,
right? Yes.
So you've kind of made this book in a clever way as well. I said to you, because you sent this to me ahead of time and I got the chance to look through. You alphabetized it as well.
I did.
What was the choice behind that?
Honestly, it's just because my brain works that way. I was like, well, how would I do this? Okay, I've got almonds, I've got za'atar, I've got, and I really did. We tried to with everyone, even couscous.
Yeah.
We tried to do a breakfast bowl that has pistachios and it's made with orange juice instead of a chicken stock. So we try to think of ways it would be not just a dinner or a lunch, but also breakfast and even desserts.
Yeah, and some snacks mixed in there. So I know you brought a couple things to make for us today, one of them being your favorite recipe, one of the favorite recipes out of the book here. Tell us a little bit about this salad.
So this salad was for the olive chapter, and we were talking about this earlier. These are my absolute favorite, these Casteltrovano.
How do you say it?
I have to look at it to say it right. Casteltrovano, I believe that's correct.
They are amazing.
They're just the really pretty, bright green, really meaty, and they're really good with apples, which sounds really strange.
Would never think that.
But it's that yin and yang, sweet and sour. So really, it's just so easy. Any type of green lettuce is fine. And then I like to just use like green apples because they're kind of tart. And so I just will mix those in with a little bit of lemon juice and just pour in as many.
So you don't even have to chop these, just throw them in.
No, just top them, and that's pretty much it. And then I make a vinaigrette with it. And I like to make vinaigrettes because they're so easy. They use your pantry items.
Right.
You can put in some honey, you can put in some Dijon granny mustard, any type of mustard, some olive oil, and of course your, vinegar, whatever you choose, white wine, red wine, apple cider. Mix it up, it gets tossed with it, and that's it. But you can also, if you have a favorite dressing at home, you can use that as well.
Throw that on top. Yeah, I think that is definitely pantry staples. How many bottles of vinegar, apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar you have sitting there to make them into a nice vinaigrette and save some for later
it's
too.
So easy. Yeah, and they'll keep in the refrigerator for several days.
Right, so you're good there. So once you put, you can mix up the vinaigrette here. Let's actually do that.
So I always just start with and I eyeball it, honestly, and I just taste. I'm a kind of a dumper cook, taste as I go, but it just gets a little bit of your olive oil until it looks just nice and emulsified. And for this one, I like to use a grainy mustard. I just think it has a nice texture to it. And then for a sweetener, just to balance it out, I like to just give it a big scoop of honey. But you could use, any type of agave nectar or
a little bit of maple syrup or something.
Anything that just gives it a little bit of a sweetness.
So you
just whisk that up until it's emulsified, and then you just really, you pour it over. You give it a toss.
So good, and
it's refreshing. Why don't you toss it?
And you'd put this cheese on it as well?
I do. I like to use a feta, but you could use a goat cheese. You could use a blue cheese, any kind of crumbly cheese that you have in the refrigerator. And again, that's what I'm always. What do I have on hand that I could easily
Want me to pour some
use?
of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just serve it. Usually I love to serve family style. So I just will put it right on top of the platter and let everyone help themselves.
Oh, so you'll even just scoop this right on top.
So you could just, you could serve in a bowl. But if you were having people over, you just wanted something pretty on the counter or on the table, you could just put that. And I like to add almonds to mine.
On top
just for a little bit of crunch. And it could be any kind of almonds. It just gives it a little bit of flavor. It could be the Marcona almonds. It could be, I even like the dry roasted salty, blue smoked almonds sometimes are nice. It just gives it a little bit of texture, a little bit of flavor.
Well, listen, I want to talk a little bit more about the book besides this recipe, although it is gorgeous. But you have so many recipes inside. What was the inspiration behind finding them? I know obviously the pantry items, but how do you even come up with these things?
That's a great question. So one of it I had time, and that was
Yeah, right.
and I had the desire to find something different.
Yeah.
And so I really did do a lot of research. And if I'm using almonds, let's say, and I have some left over and I need to store them in the freezer, how long will they keep? So I kind of talk about that. How long can you keep your items? How do they stay? What are other things you could do with almonds besides bake with them? So one of my recipes in there is romesco, and it's like a pesto, but it's sun-dried tomatoes, and it's roasted bell peppers, almonds, olive oil, garlic.
Oh, wow.
And it's really great. So you would use it like a pesto, but it has a different flavor.
Yeah.
And so again, it was trying to come up with interesting things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but it's really simple to do and easy to
With
use.
stuff that you usually have at home. So we just showed some of those recipes in the book, gorgeous photos, which I just want to say a huge shout out to you because I know those photos were taken at your home.
They were taking at my home. My photographer came. We did it for 15 days in my kitchen.
In the height of the pandemic.
So
yeah.
yes,
Quarantining
all things
together
are possible.
and getting this book done.
Yeah.
Well, I want to pull up the recipe for those who are maybe interested in making this salad at home. Rhonda's sticking around. There's the recipe if you want to take a quick picture of that on your phone. The green apple, and I'm going to butcher the name here, but Castelvetrano olives.
Very close. Castelvetrano. And I may be
Castelvetrano.
butchering it. So.
Anyways, it's a really great and easy recipe that you can make at home. Rhonda is sticking around because after the break, I want to talk to her a little bit about the book and book signings that she has done all over the country.
Yes.
So stick with us. We'll have much more Soda City Live coming up after the break.